Breaking news! There's a storm brewing in the AFC North, and it's coming from none other than the Baltimore Ravens camp. A scheduling controversy is lighting up conversations across the NFL, with none other than Joe Burrow himself weighing in. But what does this mean for the Ravens, the Bengals, and the heated rivalry that's set to explode later this season? Oh, we're diving deep into this one. But before we move on, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go Ravens," down below to show your love for the flock. The Baltimore Ravens won't meet the Cincinnati Bengals until later in the 2025 season, but that hasn't stopped the drama from erupting way ahead of kickoff. Joe Burrow made it very clear he's not thrilled about what he calls a scheduling quirk, but many are calling it a straight-up disadvantage for Cincinnati. This will be the third consecutive year that the Bengals are forced to travel to Baltimore for a Thursday night football showdown, and it marks the fourth straight primetime game between these two AFC North powerhouses hosted at M&T Bank Stadium. Burrow's comments weren't exactly subtle. Playing in Baltimore for the fourth straight primetime year isn't ideal. Maybe we can get one of those in Cincinnati next year. "Please," he said, adding that little please at the end like a cherry on top. Now, whether that was Burrow trying to keep it light or not, the NFL world has picked up on it, and the Ravens fan base is absolutely eating it up. Let's be honest, if the roles were reversed, Ravens fans would be just as vocal. Nobody likes getting the short end of the scheduling stick. But here's the kicker. The numbers don't lie. The Ravens are an unbelievable 9-0 in their last 20 years of hosting Thursday night games. Meanwhile, the Bengals, they've only hosted the Ravens once on a Thursday night since 2006. On top of that, the Bengals are a dismal 2-6 on the road in Thursday games, but 7-2 at home in the same time frame. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure out why Bengals fans and Burrow aren't happy. And it's not just a coincidence. According to NFL scheduling guru Warren Sharp, this situation is incredibly rare. It's only the fourth time in NFL history that a team has been forced to play 3 consecutive Thursday road games against the same opponent. The NFL's VP of Broadcast Planning, Mike North, even admitted they couldn't switch it because the Ravens were already scheduled for a Thursday night road game against the Dolphins. North's response? Go to Baltimore and ruin their Thanksgiving. Cold, but let's step back for a second. This isn't just about one game. This game is nestled in what could be one of the most brutal stretches for the Ravens in recent memory. Baltimore has to face the Bengals twice and the Steelers twice, all in the final 6 weeks of the season. That's 4 divisional wars in a stretch where injuries pile up and playoff seeds are on the line. It's the kind of gauntlet that could decide the fate of the entire AFC North. And it's not like the start of the season is doing the Ravens any favors either. Week 1, the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. Then a murderer's row of playoff caliber teams, including the Kansas City Chiefs, the Rams, and the Dolphins, all in the opening weeks. That stretch is going to test everything: depth, stamina, and whether this team has the playoff DNA to avoid the heartbreak that's haunted them in recent years. But here's where things get spicy for Ravens fans. The primetime advantage is real. M&T Bank Stadium under the lights isn't just a football field. It's a gladiator arena. The energy, the noise, the atmosphere, it's different. And the Ravens know it. The NFL knows it. And frankly, the Bengals know it too. That's why this Thanksgiving night showdown is more than just a game. It's a statement. And let's not forget the last time these two teams met under the Thursday night lights. The Bengals had Baltimore on the ropes. If not for a game-changing strip by Marlon Humphrey, the Ravens probably would have walked away with an embarrassing loss. Chase Brown was about to break the Ravens back until Humphrey yanked that ball loose. That play saved the season at the time. That's how razor-thin the margin is between victory and disaster when these two rivals clash. And for anyone thinking this is just a Joe Burrow gripe, think again. This is fuel to the fire for an AFC North that might be transitioning from the age-old Ravens-Steelers grudge to a new modern heavyweight rivalry between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Both quarterbacks are in the MVP conversation. Both teams are built to win now, and both have unfinished business after playoff disappointments that still sting. Make no mistake, the Bengals are going to come into that game seething. Whether it's fair or not, the perception will be that the NFL handed Baltimore yet another home field gift in prime time. But then again, Baltimore would argue they earned it. This is the reward for building one of the most intimidating home field advantages in the league. But the real question is this: how much does this primetime edge really matter? Will the Ravens' incredible Thursday night home record hold? Or is this the year Joe Burrow and the Bengals finally snap the streak and ruin Baltimore's Thanksgiving dinner? What do you think, Ravens flock? Is this schedule fair? Do you believe the Ravens' primetime dominance will continue? Or could this backfire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This entire storyline is shaping up to define the Ravens' 2025 season. Because here's the thing, this isn't just any Ravens team. This is a team that's been painfully close to breaking through that postseason ceiling. But every time January comes, it feels like the same script plays out. Turnovers, missed opportunities, questionable coaching decisions, and the physical battles in the trenches that just don't go their way. The reality is, Baltimore has proven they can dominate the regular season. The record speaks for itself. But when it's win or go home, the smallest cracks become massive fault lines. And what happens in games like that Thanksgiving showdown against the Bengals could very well shape whether Baltimore finally flips the script this year or if history repeats itself. The importance of that stretch run in the AFC North cannot be overstated. Playing the Bengals twice in 3 weeks? That's no accident. That's the NFL pouring gasoline on what might be the fiercest rivalry in football right now. Forget Ravens Steelers for a second. This is Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow, the new headline act. Both quarterbacks are MVP caliber, both franchises are stacked with elite talent, and both have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. But the tension doesn't stop with Burrow's comments. Think about what this game means for Lamar Jackson. Every year, the conversation turns to whether Lamar can finally silence the critics who say he can't win the big one. His regular season brilliance is never in question. But once the playoffs hit, turnovers have haunted him. A staggering -13 turnover differential in his 6 playoff losses isn't just a stat. It's a scar that won't heal until he rewrites the narrative. And games like this, against a bitter division rival, are exactly where those narratives are forged. On the other side of the ball, the defense has its own point to prove. Early last year, it was a disaster. The loss of defensive coaches like Mike McDonald and Anthony Weaver left the unit a shell of its former self. Zach had to endure his own learning curve, one that nearly cost Baltimore their season before the defense finally steadied. But even then, when the lights shone brightest in the playoffs, the defense failed to generate the turnovers that have been the lifeblood of Baltimore's best teams. And the stakes are even higher now. With the Achilles injury to Darius Washington, Baltimore's already testing its depth in the secondary before the pads even come on in training camp. The whispers are growing about whether the Ravens should dip into free agency to grab a veteran safety like Justin Simmons. But whether that happens or not, the fact remains, the margin for error is razor thin. One more injury, one more mistake, and this stacked roster could suddenly look very vulnerable in a division that's merciless. But here's the wild card, the Ravens' offense. Derrick Henry is back and locked in with a new contract. The bruising running back isn't just a battering ram. He's the kind of closer that can change the entire complexion of a game late in the fourth quarter. Nobody wants to tackle him in December. Nobody. And pairing him with Lamar in that backfield, that's not just dangerous. It's terrifying for defensive coordinators. But that also raises the stakes for Lamar's own contract situation. Right now, the Ravens are staring down a financial ticking time bomb. If they don't extend Lamar before next offseason, his cap hit balloons to nearly $70 million. That's not just an accounting problem. That's the kind of issue that could shatter any hope of keeping this championship window open. And nobody knows how that's going to play out because Lamar keeps everything close to the vest. No agent, no leaks, total silence. And that silence only fuels the uncertainty. Will the Ravens get this deal done before the season starts? Or is this going to turn into another prolonged saga that hangs over the team like a dark cloud just when they need total focus? And then there's the growing list of other extensions looming. Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, Isaiah Likely, even veterans like Kyle Van Noy. Any of them could be in line for new deals. The front office has its hands full, but they also know that the core of this team is as good as it's ever been. This roster, on paper, is capable of winning it all. The only question left is whether they can finally execute when it matters most. But here's the thing. How much of an advantage does this primetime stretch against the Bengals and Steelers actually give Baltimore? Or could this relentless schedule turn into a trap, draining the team right before the most important games of the season? Ravens flock, I want to hear from you. Is this the year Baltimore finally gets over the hump? Or are the warning signs already flashing? Let me know in the comments.